Hi everyone, it's Killshot from 99 Gaming. This is The Walking Dead Season 7, Episode 3, The Cell, predictions and spoilers. As mentioned in the title, we will be discussing this coming week's episode. The interesting thing about this episode is its flip-flop. Initially, the Kingdom was supposed to be this week, and this was supposed to be week 2, so they switched it around. We'll be using some sneak peeks, some trailers, some images that AMC put out there, and also the Spoiling Dead's fan page. Your participation is greatly requested. Would love to see your comments and your interaction. So let's start with The Sanctuary. We've seen some pictures all throughout the off-season, I guess you would say. So this is a little bit of the production area. We focused on the shower curtains down below, so there's some manufacturing that's going on in here. You can see a little bit of the darkened out windows as well. But right around the corner, we have this, I guess it's going to be like a tunneled out area down at the bottom. This is the torture chamber. This is where Daryl is going to go through just some unbelievable torture. Stay tuned for those Daryl fans out there. I know it's not going to be easy to watch, but we'll all get through this together. So let's talk a little bit about the Spoiling Dead's fan page. They actually posted some images, really, really awesome. They were some people that were trying for different roles. You can see at the top is Dr. Emmett Carson. This is Harlan's brother from the Hilltop, so he is going to be one of the Savior's doctors. Looks kind of like an evil doctor. You can see Joey, Laura, and focus on the bottom right corner. We've got Gordon. Gordon is going to be in play this week. There is Gordon. We initially thought that this was Aaron when we saw the preview. These guys at AMC were very sneaky. They only showed us some of the partial angles, so we were talking about it. But then a little bit later on, this is the one of the trailers. You can see that Gordon is actually walking away. And I think this is a follow-up to the chase scene. We're going to talk about the chase scene a little bit later on in this video as well, too. I think this is going to be a real turning point. I don't think Dwight's going to execute him. Leave in the comments below if you think Dwight will go through with the kill. I think he's going to show a little compassion, and this will be where he starts to change his character a little bit. So let's talk about the torture of Daryl. I know this is going to be a very popular topic, but Negan is going to try to break Daryl down. Now, this scene is actually between Dwight and Daryl, and I don't know if this is part of the torture or this is Dwight trying to bond with Daryl a little bit, because you'll see some other images a little bit later on. This is the alley I talked about, kind of underneath the sanctuary. This is where the torture is going to happen. There's Dwight walking toward Daryl's locked up cell location. And also we saw this is Dwight bringing Daryl out. He kind of ducked down a little bit of the preview. You can see Negan is holding Lucille. There are rumors that Daryl will die here. Leave in the comments below. I don't think it's going to happen, because there are also rumors that Daryl is part of next week's episode. So I'd love to hear your thoughts and your comment. This was an old picture that we'd put up. I think some people thought it was Maggie in the background, and then some people said it was Daryl. Ironically enough, Negan is talking to Daryl, so the person in the background is a Savior, but there was a lot of speculation going on with that for a long time. So I wanted to bring some of the old stuff, the fact checker stuff, just so you guys could see it. I thought this image was just fantastic. You can see the anguish on both their faces, and they have more in common than you think. Daryl's feeling the guilt of potentially being involved in Glenn's death, and Dwight is feeling the guilt as well, too, for being a partner of all the deaths that went on. Leave your comments below. Let's talk a little bit about the chase scene. I think part of this week's episode is going to have a lot to do with that. There's going to be a little bit of action. There's a car scene, and we think it could be Gordon actually leaving, defecting from the Saviors. But this particular part, I think, is Dwight on the way back after the chase scene. Either he kills Gordon or he lets him go, and then he's starting to see the walkers on the bridge. And at some point, he lays his bike down and gets attacked by walkers. Early on, there were actually spoiler sites that said this was Abraham. I know that's a real sensitive topic, but we were able to zoom in months ago and see the disfiguration on the side of Dwight's face, and we knew that this was actually a Dwight scene. So let's talk a little bit about Dwight's backstory. I do think this is going to be shown a little bit in this coming week's episode. So we know Dwight actually took the iron. Some of you guys may know why it happened or why it didn't happen. I'm not going to really elaborate a whole lot. We'll talk about that in future videos. It did have a little bit to do with Dwight and Sherry in the comic, who is also Honey, but we think it happened right after this scene. Dwight was in pretty good shape. Potentially, Dwight was trying to escape. I think this might be part of that flashback. This could be Dwight leaving the sanctuary currently, but you see Honey up on top of the stairs smoking a cigarette. It kind of screams out to me maybe she was just with Negan and there's a little bit of guilt and she's having a cigarette afterwards. Let me know your thoughts about that. And here you can see Cher looking at Dwight saying, whatever you think he's done at this point, there's always more. So I think this is definitely current. I'm not sure if the other scene might have been a flashback, so love to hear your thoughts on that. And then ultimately, I think this episode is going to be about Dwight's change. There is a lot of things that really foreshadow that. Dwight's sitting there kind of on his lunch break eating a sandwich, and then he looks over and sees just this whole pit of walkers where they have everybody sort of enslaved, and they're torturing people. They put a bucket over someone's head and just release them in there, and I think it's really starting to take its toll on Dwight. There were several different pictures that zoomed in on his face, and you can just see the agony, the anguish. When he was beside Daryl, we saw it a little bit previously, but there are actually 3 or 4 images that I was able to zoom in on to where he had that look on his face. Here is when Negan walked by. You can see Gordon once again. So either Dwight suspects Gordon or he's looking for an escape route. This was another image that was posted. It's just almost like what Carol was starting to go through. I think Dwight is the equivalent of Carol. And this scene, I'd love to hear your comments as well, too. Do you think this is part of Dwight torturing Daryl or kind of showing him, like, you better kind of straighten up and act along or play the game, or this is what's going to happen? This was also an image. I think Dwight stumbled onto something. I don't know what it is he's looking at, but once again, kind of that look like, unbelievable what's really going on right in front of me, and it's time to make a change. And we do know at some point he is going to make a change, because if the story follows the comic background, he will leave and join up with Rick and assist him later on. So let's talk about some things that could happen next week, but we could see a glimpse of. Remember this is where they trapped the hogs. So really interesting story. The hogs ate the walkers. It was tainted meat. They fattened themselves up. And this guy said next week is produce week, so produce. So we don't know what the actual time frame is going to be. We may see a glimpse of this, but if we don't see a little bit of it this week, I think next week potentially we could lose Richard, and I'll talk about that in next week's prediction video. I like Richard. You'd like to think he's going to be around a little bit longer, but I think Jerry will be there for a while with Ezekiel. Richard, I think, has one more episode at most, and then next week also Negan will come knocking. I don't think we'll see any of this week because it's going to be focused on Daryl, the torture Dwight storyline. We'll probably see Rick's speech to the group like Negan's in charge. Next week has also been extended to an 85-minute episode. We're going to get to see Spencer, Rosita, the whole Alexandria safe zone. Negan will come knocking. Evidently, he's going to bring Daryl along as well, too. And he's going to have Rick carry Lucille from door to door while all the Saviors take their stuff. So thanks, everyone, for watching. Leave your comments below. Give this video a thumbs up. I look forward to interacting with each and every one of you. Want to hear your dialogue, see your comments. And as we build this forum, thanks for everything that you guys do. Talk to you soon. Peace.